Tonight, I'm interviewing a guy that had strange encounters with mermaids and a full-blown UFO invasion. Check it out. All right, I got John Doe with me, and you had a lot of experiences with various things, like you told me time distortions and other things.
You had a video about mermaids, right? Sea mermaids. I had an experience back in Hawaii. I think it was 2010, about 2010, where I had an experience where they were in spirit, more of spirit form.
Mm-hmm.
It was real weird. They shifted shape, if you will. And there was some type of special ceremony going on. And I've seen them. I saw the actual beings, and I watched them shift from I guess a little bit different reality to back into the water and take off. It was weird.
What do you mean? What do you mean shift back to a different reality? Like, what did it look like? Can you describe it physically? Like its features?
It was as if they it looked like there was a special ceremony that was going on, and there were many. I got the feeling like it was kind of weird, like there was a wedding going on or something special with the mermaids or I don't know if they were spirits or what, but I know there were something. And there were three, because I was on the sand. It was right on the beach. It was at night. I was in shock. I mean, it's the first thing, because I sat down on a log and I looked over. I thought I sat on a log. That's the thing. But they had, I would say, manifested, shape-shifted into physical matter but they when I sat down, it moved. So I was actually sitting on either the tail or something. There were three of them, and they turned around and looked at me, and it freaked me out.
You sat on one?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I mean, you're like right up to it.
It was. I was right up. Yes, I was right up on it. It was a full moon. I can't remember the exact day or what, but I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I was at a park there in Kailua, on Oahu. And so it was in Kailua, and the Kailua beach. There's a park there, full moon, and I had been surfing earlier during the day, and then went back there because the place I was staying actually was right near the park. So I went back there at night, and I thought, you know what, I'll catch some waves when the sun goes down, and surf in the moon, in moonlight. Thought it would be a cool experience. So I was waiting, sitting by, waiting for the waves to kind of build up, and it was flat. So I was just sitting there with my wetsuit pulled half down, and like I said, I went to sit on this log,
and it wasn't a log.
And it wasn't a log. It moved.
Can you describe how it looked? Because right now you're saying mermaids, but I want to get a visual description in my head. Like, was it blue? Did it have fins? Like,
no. And this it's a total weird. It's a weird.
It's okay.
Weird story, but Um, it was it okay. You know how like seaweed dries out,
Uh-huh.
okay, and it gets kind of that little crusty, kind of so it had the look of that along with the so seaweed over this log, and I would have thought, like I said, it was just normal seaweed. But then I noticed it was stringy like hair. So it was kind of, it had the appearance of seaweed, but fine strands like hair. And there were three clumps of it next to this log. And so, in the moonlight, you look down, you see it. I didn't think anything other than there was a log with seaweed, three clumps of seaweed. I'm at the beach. I go to sit on the log, and the log shifts.
Hmm.
Okay, so I sit up and kind of look over because I was startled. Like, it's dark outside. What the heck, just moved. And then I look down and they look up, and there was three faces that are staring at me, and I freaked out. So
What did the faces look like?
they didn't look like any of the pictures that I've seen on, like social media where they take videos of mermaids like that. It wasn't like that. It was th- almost as if they were taking the shape in this physical world, and they were trying to hide themselves to make them look like blend in to the be a log and seaweed. And I don't know if um the density of the of the between the realities was just thin enough or whatever, but they didn't do it a good enough job because I saw them, they saw me, they knew that I saw them. They kind of looked up, and it was almost like a warning because, like I said, there was a ceremony going on. There were more, and it was happening, and I, I I got the feeling at that point in time that I wasn't supposed to be there, and I was witnessing something that shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have been there. So being in the state that I was, seriously freaked out. Okay, that's not something that someone sees, every day. So I actually went to go get other people to come back because, like I said, the house that I was staying at was only, say 2 blocks away, but it was right on the beach. So I went back, and then there were people that were actually on my way back to the house that I tried to pull over. You guys got to come check this out because, I was in shock. And they were like, yeah, 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 whatever, come on, man, you can see mermaids, whatever. I was freaked. So I get back to the place that I'm staying, and I tried um, get a friend that was there to come over and check it out as well. And he said, okay, okay, I'll go back. So, I'll meet you there. And I went running back there. Well, by the time that I got back, whatever ceremony it was over. And they were now making their way back into the water. So, and there were, like I said, there were many of them. There were.
Can I get a description of what they look like? Because so far, like, I don't know if they have legs, I don't know if they have fishtails, I don't know if they're purple, I don't know if they're pink, I don't know if they have human-like faces or ape
No,
faces.
I apologize. I apologize. They had the tone. They had the tones of of uh, green, kind of what I could make out was more the colors of the sea, like seaweed.
Okay.
Okay, so the dark green, brown. Like I said, it was nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the three that I had seen that were on the ground, they didn't I didn't see the arms. Like I saw the a God, it's almost like they were almost ghoulish faces, um, green, bubbly. Uh,
Do they have a nose?
they looked very, very ugly.
Do they have a
And
nose? Do they have
they
a
had a
nose?
face, they had face, they had a nose, they had eyes, they had face, but it was distorted.
Oh.
Um, it was a very distorted, like I said, it looked as if they were trying to blend in.
Hmm.
So whatever I was seeing wasn't their normal shape, right? And so it was a distorted version of them. But when I had gotten back and they were transforming into their normal shapes, they had a tail I just saw the back end and them taking off, and I I heard them singing to me, which was weird.
What did it sound like?
They were, or maybe there was like a siren or whatever singing, but they were trying to lure me into the water. And I, I remember walking out into the break because I was almost in a trance, walking to them, and I there was I don't know exactly what had happened. What had happened, what I experienced was there's like these little black balls that started attacking my legs. So thank goodness I was only, maybe up to my ankles, maybe shins in the water. And so I was so close to the shore that I was able to turn around and kind of run away, snap out of it, because it felt like they were well, attacking me. That's just all I can say, attacking me. So
What did it sound
by
like,
that
the singing?
time,
Can you mimic it?
no, I mean I don't have that great of a voice, but it was a high pitch. It was actually a very pretty sound. Like, it was calling me to the sea. It was one of those. It was a mesmerizing call to the sea, that they were trying. I could tell they were. Well, they were. I was mesmerized. They were trying to lure me in. It was a high pitch melody, if you will, that was calling me to them. So anyhow, that particular night, I was in shock. I ended up having to go to the actually, when I went back to the house, they thought I got stung by jellyfish because I came back saying this story to them. They said, "Man, they looked at, and I had my wetsuit on, and the bottom half, and my legs were just all red, just total red." And so they said, "You must have got stung by a man of war. That those are no joke. We need to get you to the hospital." And so they took me to the hospital. Doctors telling me, what had happened. Explain to me what happened. How'd you get this? You got stung by a jellyfish, And I was like, well, my experience was a little bit different than that, but please go ahead and do, your tests, and you tell me what it is. And anyhow, because of it was they let's just say they held me for observation overnight because of that experience. Okay, I was in shock, but also I had physical whatever it was that I guess attacked me was attributed to the sea, but it wasn't a jellyfish. But that's what they held me in for. It's kind of a trippy. the week the week of this particular day, I started noticing these lower level lights coming, and where I worked at, the flight the flight pat I was in, I could see the flight patterns because I'm not too far away from a major airport. And so it's not uncommon to see aircraft in the air, and I know the flight plans. Well, the week before, I noticed new lights coming in that did not move the same way normal planes moved. They would, it was almost as if they were scouting or mapping out the area. So I made a mental, and I'd watch them, and I'd kind of get my goosebumps on my arms, and kind of make, watch what was going on. And the energy was really heightened. I was super, for some reason, I was scared. I had this feeling of fear. Okay. And on my way, like the first 5 minutes of the drive over to my left, I start seeing different lights in the sky, hovering above the lake, probably 30 feet, 60 feet, and then 100. And then as I started looking up at the sky, I saw all different types of craft. Where and the more I drove, the more there were. So in a panic, it was almost kind of like a movie scene. Like, I was thinking, not Independence Day, but I think the one that Brad Pitt or something, the Z World or whatever. Anyhow, there was a ton of craft. They had, some were small, pyramid, bright light pyramid shaped. It looks like a pyramid on top of a pyramid. So one pyramid, one of the point facing down, point facing up, and they were flashing different sequences. The flashings, it appeared as if the lights were communicating with each other via light flashes. Looked like high intensity LEDs, but there must have been, along the lake, over this half-hour drive, there must have been 150 of them at eye level. And back then I had a Tahoe, so I sat up, and that was a trip in terms of seeing what I saw, but then seeing them overhead, and as many as I did, I thought, based upon things that I've seen, movies, whatever, that we were being invaded. That was the feeling that I had with as many craft that I saw. And the closer I was getting to my house, like I said, the more were coming in. And then they began, so there was, like I said, there were all different shapes of these craft. It was almost as if, like a space fleet. Okay. I saw a fleet of craft, some that were on the earth, that were here, some that were in the upper atmosphere, some that were, I remember it being a full moon, that were in between the earth and the moon, and then some that looked like they were way out in the stars. So there was just like different layers of craft. As I was driving home, then these craft started dropping blue orbs down over the region that I was, like near my house. They were dropping these blue orbs, and maybe 10 to 15 miles apart, other ones were dropping these blue orbs. So, like I said, I thought we were having an invasion. My original fear was to get my jam home to my family, and but I didn't know where to run. And the crazy thing is, my leg was shaking so much on the gas pedal that I couldn't drive any faster. It was weird. And I get home, and my girls at the time were probably, oldest one was 12, and my youngest one might have been 8 or 9. Okay. And my wife, she had just started a job, so she was actually asleep when I got home. She was asleep early. I came home, had to put my, dad face on, freaked out. And they could see something wasn't right with me. What's wrong, Dad? And I'm like, nothing. Here, do me a favor. I want you to just go look. Do you see anything out in the sky that's out of the ordinary? And they both saw lights. It was, so I knew I wasn't nuts. I knew that I was seeing something that I wasn't making up. It wasn't a figment of my imagination. But it seemed as if I saw more than they saw. They saw them, but they didn't see as many as me. So the crazy thing is, okay, while this is going on, my anxiety and my fears started subsiding. Okay. When I, imagine feeling like you're being invaded by, and that's the only thing that I could say it felt like, is because there were hundreds, if not thousands, of craft in the sky, and big armada ships like Star Wars. Okay, the big armada ship.
So
saw that.
They weren't just glowing dots of light in the sky. They were whole
Correct.
ships. You were seeing full-blown ships.
Full-blown ships. I saw.
Can you describe in as much detail as you can one of the larger ones that you saw, like what it looked like, the shape of it and everything?
Way up in the sky, there were ones that looked like the big space armadas that I remember back when I saw Star Wars when I was a kid. Okay, the big triangle one that big huge carriers in the air. That's I saw those. There were 2 or 3 of them.
Looked
Massive.
just like that, just like the Star Wars
Look
one.
very, 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 very similar. That's yes, very similar to that Star Wars. Yeah, very similar. But I also saw a big black triangle, massive, huge, big black triangles, and then what I would have thought were like TR3Bs. Okay, that shape. There were more, like I said, when my anxiety and my calmness started setting in, and you got to keep in mind, I drove home for a half hour, blue orbs dropping from these glowing lights in all these different shapes. So I kind of was maybe a little bit adjusted, but I was still in shock. I was still in panic. But like I said, there was a calmness in, and I'm not sure if it was maybe the lights, the blinking of the lights that I had seen. I don't know, but I had this feeling because they were hovering for a very long period of time. They weren't moving super fast, although some were like um, some were a, a bright white, like a super bright LED, okay, and they would dart across the sky at maybe 1,000, 1,500 feet, but and they would dart super fast, like you would see a light here, and then all of a sudden it would just in a second be 2 miles to the right, and then go the opposite direction. But but for about an hour, hour and a half, this fleet was it was because I remember that particular night, the moon was a full moon. It was October or September 31st, the last day of September, 2012, full moon that night, and the moon was behind me, and the ships were kind of overhead in front. So they were behind there. No, they were in front of the moon. The moon was on the backside. Um, so because they were hovering for such a long period of time, in my mind, I thought, and like I said, maybe because of the blinking of the lights, I thought that they were waiting for something. Like I didn't know. I just had this feeling that because there was so much activity and because there were so many ships, that and of different shapes and sizes, that they were waiting for something else to appear. That's what my gut told me. My oldest daughter, I'm not sure if it was anxiety or what, but she didn't feel comfortable watching them. She wanted to go back inside and lay down. It was just like too much of an emotional mind blow for her to, I guess, it's heavy, at 12 years old seeing that, or at any age seeing it. But it was so she just wanted to go lay down. My youngest and I, we, like I said, didn't have the fear anymore to take off and run. We wanted to go outside and watch. So we did, as a matter of fact. We sat outside for about an hour. Like I said, these ships hovered, and while the carriers were going by, it was like a fleet of aircraft that were, UFOs, spacecraft that were flying by, but they were going in super slow motion. It's
Do you
kind
ever
of just.
do you ever think to get a camera during that whole time to take some pictures?
My phone, dead as a doornail.
Huh.
Yes, I did think about that, and I went to plug it in, and we plugged it in for I don't know, like an hour, and it wouldn't charge. It was
Huh.
crazy.
Need an analog camera.
Well, back in 2012, it was like a Razor. What was it?
No, I'm saying
but I know an analog. I get you.
probably should have one for
I
when I go out, just in case.
Yeah, I did. We didn't think that, and I had multiple. Like I remember running to get my wife's phone. Our phones were dead. It was weird, and so we walked out. So we were like my wife. I couldn't rouse her from sleep. She was out, and it's not like, here's the crazy thing. It's not like at the time. It's not like we were way out of the way. We had lived in a community where there were people. It was like a condo community, so there were people around, but they weren't observing what we were observing. And um,
It almost seems like there's some kind of psychoactive effect going on, like your wife not waking up and your daughter not wanting to watch.
yeah, yes, yes,
Did you
yes.
did you feel like you're fighting an emotion or a feeling to not watch, or boredom or something while you were watching it? Like, did you feel something weird, like I should go inside or something?
Well, we there was a period, a brief period that yes, I stayed. Like I said, I was freaked, but then this calmness kicked in, and it went from that feeling of panic to ease,
And your daughter's
right?
just like, I want to go inside. This sucks, and then she just goes inside,
No,
basically.
my oldest one, she was she was just drained.
Did she remember
Just
that?
yeah. She was just drained.
What did she describe? Did she just say like she just felt like she just wanted to go inside and lay down?
Yeah, and she doesn't really like talking about it, to be honest with you. You know, she's kind of she doesn't talk about it. Every once in a while, when we've had a couple dinners with grandpa and whatever, so we got on the topic, and she has said, yeah, you know, yes, I saw something. Yes, back then we saw something. But when like I said, this last Q2 for like hours. Okay, it wasn't just a little bit of time, and went from 7 to like 11 at night. Okay, it was like 4 hours, and then the crazy thing, like I said, this as the fleet was passing by, this is where it gets really. Like I said, I felt that they were waiting for something, right? So there was a point in which I went and roused my daughter, my oldest one, and my youngest one was with me the whole time. Like I said, she was, I want to say 9 or so at the 8 or 9, and I was able to rouse my oldest one, and I said, let's go out to the porch one more time. Okay, I think they're going away. Let's go out to the porch. Well, when we did that, there was this big, bright, cream-colored orb. Okay, and it looked like plasma. It looked like the sun. Okay, it looked atomic. So imagine the sun coming down, flying to a spot that was maybe 500 feet, maybe 750 feet, but it was maybe, I don't even know if it was that far away, but or off of the ground. We were on the porch, and it was shoulder over our shoulders, but probably 2 blocks away. Let's just say 2 blocks distance, but 700 feet, 500 feet maybe or under in the sky. So we saw this thing appear, and then it made this vroom vroom sound. So like I said, it came down and it hovered, made this sound. While it did that, I saw, in my mind, it looked like someone driving a ship. In my mind's eye, it appeared as is it Quetzalcoatl, the Aztec god
Mm-hmm.
that drive the ship. In my mind, that's what I thought I saw. Okay, but it was this really, like I said, it looked like the sun, but in a cream color. Does this woof, woof, woof. Now I'm in the middle. I have a daughter on my right, a daughter on my left. We're on the porch. We're holding hands.
I thought your other
We
daughter
all
went to
three
bed.
see this.
I thought your other daughter went to bed.
No, I had roused her. I had
Oh.
roused her because I had roused her and I said, you know, let's come out. Let's make sure that they're all gone. Okay. For some reason, I was compelled to do this, so I did that. Brought them to the porch, and within like 15 seconds of us looking at the sky, all of a sudden, that particular craft was way more glorious than or significant, if you will, okay, than the other craft that I saw. Because like I said, my mind was already blown. I couldn't believe it, what I was experiencing, but I was calm. I had brought my kids to the porch after hours of this activity. Then that sun plasma energy that appeared to be way bigger than it was for as close as it was. Did that movement, shifted in the sky, and made this noise, and then, I swear to God, just like a wormhole in a movie, this wormhole opened up in the sky. Maybe less than a quarter mile away from where we were standing. 200 feet up in the air, and it and went into it, and then the night sky just went clear, back to like no ships.
Interesting.
Yeah, very, very, very. And it was one of those experiences that shook me to my core. Okay, shook me to my core for, and obviously even now, I am still, you know, after all these years trying to process.
You know what I think?
Please.
So first off, I think that these things like the UFOs, the mermaids, whatever, they do something to people to make it so you can't see them. Like they mess with our heads, so you like don't want to look, or you want to sleep, or you don't care, and you walk away, or you just dismiss it. And for some reason, some kind of mental or ability that you naturally acquired in your life allows you to see through it. And that's why you're able to see these things without falling asleep or not remembering. You have some kind of mental trick or way of looking at the world that makes it so they can't affect you in the way that they can affect most ordinary people. And it would be interesting to figure out what exactly it is that you've developed or have that allows you not to be brainwashed or mind wiped or whatever, like most people are. Because if most people are like, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep, oh, this is boring, and walk away, or oh, that's nothing, and they just keep going, you see it regardless.
Yeah.
That's one thing, and I think it has something to do with the way you think or something. You're gonna have to think on that yourself. Figure out what's different about you, how you think that could be the determining factor that allows you not to be memory wiped or whatever the hell they're doing to us. Because I know for what I heard about Bigfoot and other creatures, they do the same thing in order to camouflage themselves. They just make it so you don't notice them.
Yeah, you know, over.
Do you practice meditation?
I've watched a few of your videos, and they're obviously I know that I'm not, I won't say I'm special by any means. This happens to people all over the planet, maybe not at that same experience, but there are a lot of indigenous people that see things and they understand, that there are other realities, other dimensions.
Do you practice meditation?
I do practice meditation.
That
and,
might be what it is.
Grounded myself. I went through a very, very, very rough patch.
Before the paranormal or after the paranormal?
Before and during.
Okay, because what if that meditation is what made your mind to be able to train in order not to be affected? Something about that training or doing that allowed you to not be affected the way normal people would, and to see things that normal people wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah, I'll lend that some credence for sure. I've only achieved certain levels. Let's just say, I'm not a yogi by any stretch
Well,
of the imagination.
I'm not trying to boost your ego. I'm just saying there's something that allows you not to be blinded like the other, like they can do to others.
I know I've had I would say I've connected with the source a time or two. Okay, I know that there are other things that way beyond the normal programming of society. I know there is. I've seen it. I believe it. I don't. Several years ago, I stopped watching TV. Stopped. With the program. It didn't resonate with me. I kind of saw through it to begin with. Only after years of being, programmed, but I no longer felt that it was necessary. It just wasn't inviting to me. So I tried to expand my mind in, things that fascinate me: frequency, vibration, audible shapes. Trying to get into a more of a balanced state, and when I also noticed too that certain senses I get, I had several times where I think as my senses started activating. This might have been 15 years ago or so. I would have deja vu, like this. I knew that I had been there. I knew I had done that. I knew what to do. It would happen on a regular occurrence. It was really weird.
Something about training your mind with the meditation allows you not to be tricked mentally, so you can still see things that they make other people not see. And then the second point I want to bring up is you felt like the ships were all waiting for something, and then that big cream colored sun appeared, and then a portal opened and they all disappeared. What I think personally, first thing that came to my mind when I heard that was, okay, these ships want to get somewhere, and there's something that's going to come and it's going to open a door that allows them to get where they all want to go. So it's kind of like like waiting for a train to say,
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You said the first thing that came to my mind.
So the first thing that came to my mind is, I think that when I heard of all the UFOs gathering and you're saying they're waiting for something, it kind of made me think of, and then the cream colored sun appeared and they all disappeared. It made me think of people going to a train station waiting for a train ride, and then the train comes and all aboard, the portal opens, and then they all leave through it. So what if they're trying to get somewhere that their ships didn't have the technology to get to, like to another reality or something, and the airline or the transportation that will allow them to travel between realms or between galaxies or whatever was that cream colored technology or something, and that opened the door, and they're all waiting for that door because they all wanted to go to a place that they didn't have the ability to get to without that thing's help, kind of like riding a train.
I could see that. I could see where you're coming from there. The only thing is that the only ship that went through the wormhole was that bright light. All the other ships had it was almost as if they were passing through yes, I get it. I get where you're saying, but the only difference is that the by the time that sun came, it was like the other ships were already making their way through to into space. They had just, you know, gone from our elevation up through the atmosphere and started taking off. There were only a few that were lingering around, and then, like I said, that came through, and then only that particular sun created the wormhole, or maybe he didn't. Maybe it just a wormhole appeared right next to it, and it zoop zoop and went through. Now, the other thing, that when that happened, time for all three of us, we felt a shift in time. That's the only way I can explain it. But that's the time dilation. That's the we knew that it happened fast, but it seemed like it was slower than it happened. And we don't know if it was in our minds. It took 5 to 10 seconds for all of this to take place of that sun, and then the wormhole to open up. Maybe 15 seconds. But when the wormhole opened up, there was we felt time. Something happened, and all three of us made the comment that we looked at it. What just happened? We were blown away, don't get me wrong, as if a sun coming down and a wormhole wouldn't blow your mind already. The feeling, right, being so close to that, we felt time changed briefly for us. It was just weird. That's all I don't know how else to explain it except for that we noticed that there was a shift.
Interesting.
Now the rest of the world is pretty much the same. You know, they're nothing real special in terms of, well, freaking Trump became president. Maybe that you know, there are some little changes, but I don't think people necessarily changed. Okay, it wasn't a big shift. Normal. Everybody seemed the same. I seemed different. My kids seemed different. We were, like I said, a little bit in shock after that. I personally was shook to the core, and it took me, I want to say several years to kind of get right, get grounded, not be super affected by that experience. But the first year, I was shook. I had to.
Was it because it was hard to accept, or what?
Well, when something like that happens and you don't have anybody to talk to, and of course, when you want to talk to someone about it, and you're telling them about your experience, and they think you're absolutely nuts, and they take you. I mean, you can only talk to so many people that these are your loved ones, right? The ones that, and they think that you have lost your mind, and then so you talk to people that aren't your loved ones, and they think that you lost your mind. Then you go to the therapist, and they say, like, this is a figment of your imaginations and all.
How could you have three people have the same figment of their imagination simultaneously? Well, mass hallucination makes no sense.
No, exactly. That was my saving grace as to why they wouldn't commit me. You know what I mean? Because my daughters experienced it too. But it was so heavy to lay on them that they could not comprehend. And like I said, I'm not special. I just happen to witness it. Trying to explain it and explain it in a manner that, I mean, I wish I had the art, and I bet I could. I just never have tried to, especially nowadays with computer animated. I could probably recreate the scene probably accurate. I should, huh?
You should, dude.
Yeah, I could probably recreate it fairly accurately to kind of give a what I had experienced, because it was just an absolute mind blow. So, like I said, it's taken me years to kind of get grounded, get my mind straight, like, come to grips with everything. For I want to say like a year after that, not only was I going through, I guess, trying to come to grips with what I saw, grasp what I saw, I was afraid to go outside and look at the sky. I had what the psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors would say I had acute PTSD from my experience. I did not want to go look at the sky because I was afraid that they were gonna, something was gonna be there. And then I remember for like a solid month afterwards, streetlights and lights. We had, because like I said, we lived in a condo facility at that time, and the lights above where the cars parked, okay, would start flickering in almost a Morse code, as if they were trying to connect with me, communicate with me. I had that sense, that feeling. I was just so scared at the time because of what I experienced. My curiousness now myself, where I'm a little bit more grounded, feel it's all sat in, and I felt maybe I was supposed to experience that. Would have been curious to walk over and see, am I meant to be right here, and maybe have tried to communicate with the lights at that time. But for, like I said, a month straight, I'd come up to a light, and at some time during the day, and it would start flickering, like I said, more almost like not a erratic flicker that like streetlights do. There was a very distinct break
Strange.
dash dot yeah. So anyhow, that was an experience, man. I appreciate you taking the time, brother.
Appreciate the interview. Thanks for sharing.
Like I said, I'm a fan. So yeah, let's see where it goes.
All right, man. Nice talking to you.
All right, brother. Bye bye.
All right, so a few things that stood out to me, as I said in the interview. I found it interesting that he was able to view the UFOs coming down when other people want to go to sleep or they didn't want to watch. I apologize for not making a video last week. I had the flu, which turned into a bacterial infection in my lungs. I got bronchitis. So I waited until I felt better. I didn't really feel better until today. I started going back to work. I took a week off work. This interview is pretty interesting because it kind of highlights the idea that maybe these things, the reason why a lot of people can't see them is because they're tricking our minds somehow where we can't see them. Yeah, I think it's like mind control almost. Like there's a huge field of some sort that makes people not want to watch the UFO invasion. I'm sure they weren't really invading people, but there's a huge congregation of them. They're doing something. They didn't want people to see them, and people were having weird feelings where they didn't really want to watch. But for some reason, he was able to see through that. If any of you out there can explain what could cause batteries to die and a phone not to work, even if it's plugged directly into the outlet, like what kind of phenomenon scientifically could explain that? I'd like your guys' help in trying to figure out what type of energy or what could cause that. Then if we could figure out what's making like a phone completely die for no reason, it might help find a way to be able to shield electronics from being drained from paranormal investigations. Anyways, guys, I'm trying to make a video a week, and the only exception for when I will not be able to do that is if I'm laid out sick as a dog like I was last week. I had a high fever, which turned into a horrible cough that kept me up all night, every night, and I wasn't about to do a video while I'm coughing every 2 seconds and feeling like crap. Stay tuned for more episodes, guys, and be sure to share the video and subscribe. Click like if you want to help the channel grow. I have not figured out a way to try to make money from this channel so far. I've been spending a lot of money on camera gear so I can film my adventures. I encourage you guys to send me any stories, any information, no matter how weird it sounds, because some people feel ashamed, like, oh, it's so strange, I don't want to say it. Who knows? It might shed some light on what's happening and make sense of it all, if that makes any sense. So, divulge all the information, all the details. If you got any good pictures, if you're not delusional, send them my way. This is Qituvituaq. See you guys later.